Okay, so for number 33, they're asking you to find the sine, cosine, tangent of each of the following angles. Before you do that, you have to identify where on the unit circle that angle is located. So for pi over 3, that's going to be right about here. The ordered pair associated with that angle is negative 1/2 negative radical 3 over 2. That's straight from the unit circle. Sine of 4 pi over 3 is the y coordinate because it's y over r, but r is 1 on the unit circle. So it's basically just the y coordinate. Cosine of 4 pi over 3 is x over r, which is the x coordinate, which is negative 1/2. And then tangent of 4 pi over 3 is y over x. So you're going to take the sine value over the cosine value because that's y and then over x. And so you get negative over negative is positive, and the 2's cancel, so you're left with radical 3 because radical 3 over 1 is radical 3. So you do the same thing for the other two. So negative pi over 4 means that you're going clockwise right here. Pi over 4, so that means that the ordered pair here is radical 2 over 2, negative radical 2 over 2. And it looks like a 3, but they're both radical 2's. Okay? So sine of negative radical 2 over 2, you take the y coordinate, of negative pi over 4, I'm giving you the answer right there. You take the y coordinate, which is negative radical 2 over 2. The cosine of negative pi over 4, you take the x coordinate, so that's going to be radical 2 over 2. And for the tangent of negative pi over 4, it's y over x, which means the sine over the cosine, because sine is y and cosine is x. So you take these two numbers up here and write them, treat them as a fraction. So the radical 2 over 2 cancel out, and you're left with negative 1. For 3 pi over 4, the angle is right about here, this angle right here. So the ordered pair associated with that angle is, and I'll put it here on this side because it's going to look too crowded right there. It's going to be, or on the top, it's going to be negative radical 2 over 2, positive radical 2 over 2. So that's the ordered pair associated with 3 pi over 4. So the sine of 3 pi over 4 is y over r, but remember r is 1, so that means we're just looking at the y coordinate, so it's radical 2 over 2. The cosine of 3 pi over 4 is x over r is 1, so that means we're just looking at the x coordinate, negative radical 2 over 2. And the tangent is y over x, which is the same thing as radical 2 over 2 over negative radical 2 over 2, so that's negative 1. Okay, so that's 33. For number 34, they are asking for reference angles, and those are the angles made by the terminal side and the closest x-axis. Okay, so first thing we do is draw the angle. So 145 would be about here. So this is 145. So the reference angle would be this angle right here, this one. So to get that degree, you would take 180 minus 45, so that angle would be 35 degrees. Okay, for letter B, 23 pi over 9, first thing I do is I draw, let me move this up a little bit, I change it to a mixed number. So 9 goes into 23 2 times, and remainder 5. So then I can draw the angle. Okay, there's 2 pi. 5/9 pi is more than half, so it's going to be about right here. So there's the angle. So this part is 5 pi over 9. Well, the angle I'm looking for is this angle right here. This one. Well, if it's 5/9 from here to here, this is 5/9, how much more do I need to get to pi? So you do pi minus 5 pi over 9, and so that's going to give you 4 pi over 9. Okay, 330, draw the angle. That's about right here, 330. So the reference angle that we're looking for is this one. So how much more to get to 360? 30 degrees more. And that's your reference angle. And then 7 pi over 9, that would be about here. This is 7 pi over 9. So how much more to get to pi? Because what we're looking for is this angle right here. Okay, if this is 7/9 pi right here, how much more, this little angle right there, to get to pi? So we need 2 pi over 9. And that would be the reference angle for that one. So for number 35, we're looking for coterminal angles between 0 and 360, or 0 and 2 pi. So coterminal angles are angles that start and end in the same spot. Okay, they have the same initial side and the same terminal side. So I usually just start off by drawing the angle. And so for number 1, 45, so that's right here. So that's already, I mean, if I add a 360, then it's past the 360, right? So it doesn't satisfy the condition they want. So for this one, a coterminal angle is 45. Because I cannot add 360, because if I do, it goes past 360, right? And if I subtract 360, then it's a negative angle, and that's not what they want. Okay, so for letter B, I can add 360, but notice how if I add 360, it's still negative. So I'm going to add 720. So when I add 720 to negative 450, I get, 270 degrees. It might be easier if you swap the numbers, if you put 720 above negative 450. But when you do that, you still get 270. So 270 basically means that if I have, let's see, negative 450 means negative 360, and then we go right here, and end right there. Okay, so it starts at 0 and it ends here. But if I do 270, then that means I just go, that means I just go and end right here. So they start in the same spot and end in the same spot, so it'd be 270. For negative 2 pi over 5, I'm going to add 2 pi.
Is that your last one?
Almost. So I'm going to add 2 pi to negative 2 pi over 5. So 2 pi, let me use the black again. So I need a common denominator, so it's going to be 5. So this 2 pi becomes 10 pi over 5 minus 2 pi over 5. So that gives me 8 pi over 5. And 8 pi over 5 is between 0 and 2 pi. And I know that 8 pi over 5 is going to end in the same spot as negative 2 pi over 5. Okay? Now, letter D, 7 pi over 2. I could subtract 2 pi from that. So 7 pi over 2. Common denominator is 2. So that's 7 pi over 2 minus 4 pi over 2, so that gives me 3 pi over 2. And the angle 3 pi over 2 is between 0 and 2 pi, so I'm done. Okay, so those are the 4 coterminal angles. So for number 36, you have a tree that casts a shadow on the ground that's 20 feet long. The angle of elevation of the sun is 55 degrees, so this is how you would draw it. and we're looking for the height of the tree. Okay, so this is, we're going to treat this as a right triangle, and when you're solving for a right triangle, we use SOHCAHTOA, and oops, that's an O, and that's an S. And so if I'm looking at an angle 55 degrees, the X is the opposite and the 20 feet is the adjacent. So opposite and adjacent, that would be tangent. So I would set it up tangent of 55 degrees is opposite over adjacent. So that's 20. I'm going to solve for X by multiplying both sides by 20. Cancel it there. So now I just take my calculator, make sure you are in degree mode, okay, and then just plug it in like you see it. 20 times tangent 55, and that'll